yes, I'm Joshua David Stein, destroyer of Bentleys. Yeah, I am a cookbook author, and I did the Nomois Tea Parlor cookbook and the Il Buco cookbook and many other cookbooks and children's books, including the Catalog of Hugs, which you can get out front. And when I thought of the theme, Never Say Never, I never say never generally. So I thought about what the opposite of that, or not the opposite, the inverse of that is sort of always say yes, which is also why I'm here, because I was just asked to do this like a couple of days ago, and I'm not very well rehearsed, but I always say yes, so here I am. So this story happened maybe a month ago. Before I start, I should say I went to NYU. Asele was my professor for the Transnational Prison Industrial Complex. Wonderful professor. But the other thing that happened at NYU is that freshman year, I lived in Carlisle, which is up on Union Square, and I walked by, there used to be a Crunch on 13th Street, and I walked by the Crunch, and I saw this woman teaching a ballet boot camp class, and I'd never danced, but I thought she was ravishing, and I was like a 17-year-old, and I was like, okay, I'll do ballet. So things didn't really work out with Jessica, but I did get really into ballet, and I went to dance space, and I had a lower tier mediocre dance career, I would say. But when I graduated, I kind of had to decide, okay, do I want to try to make a living as a dancer, or do I want to try to make a living as a writer? Both were kind of tenuous, and I realized I was a less bad writer than I was a bad dancer, so I decided to write, which turns out I'm okay at. That is a prelude for the story. So, a month ago, my friend was in town, Zoe, she's an actress, and she was telling me that she got cast as the lead in a musical based on the band Pavement. Does anyone know Pavement? Yeah, okay. I was told no one would say anything, so I'm happy to hear some people like Pavement. So Pavement, for those of you who don't know, we're a mid-90s band founded in Stockton, California, and their signal philosophy was kind of like they don't give a fuck about anything. Like, they could have been famous. They had one song called Cut Your Hair, which was kind of like their mainstream hit, and then they decided they didn't want to do that. They just wanted to make their own music, and that was not commercially viable, which is why like one table here knows about them, which I'm very happy for. But they just did their own thing, and I think for me, as a young person, the idea that you can disregard external praise to only do what you want, to not only do what you want in a narcissistic way, but to follow your creative voice was like immensely inspiring. And it's something that kind of stuck with me and has stuck with me for my whole career. So, and I love the music. The music's really good. So Zoe got cast in this musical as a lead, and she said, they're looking for chorus members. And I was, what I do for a living is like I go and I eat at restaurants, and then I go home and then I write about what I ate, and I'm just sitting and I'm not doing anything active, and like that's my life. And here was this chance, to be in an Off-Broadway show as a chorus member for my favorite band. And I thought that, well, if I don't at least try to do it, I will regret it for the rest of my life. So I reached out to the producer and I said, I'd really love to come audition for this musical. He said, sure. Like, he gave me the time. He said, bring a headshot and a resume and memorize this song, because there's an a cappella part of the audition. And then there's also like a dance audition as well. And I said, okay, I can do that. The night before, I started getting a lot of jitters, I guess. And I thought, like I said, I'm a restaurant critic, I'm a children's book author. Like, the most annoying thing that can happen as a children's book author is someone comes up to you and they're like, oh, I could write children's books. Or like, hey, I have an idea. What about this for a children's book? And you're like, no, it's actually like work. You can't just, it looks easy and then you want to do it. It's like, that's insulting a little bit. I mean, sometimes the ideas are really good, but generally, they're not. And I didn't want to be that dude in this audition where there's like actual dancers and actual singers, and there's like, hey, I'm like a middle-aged dude from Borough Park, and I want to be on Broadway, Off-Broadway, anywhere near Broadway. Lafayette. So I did what like anyone does when they're feeling anxious, they doom scroll, and I was doom scrolling Instagram and then YouTube, because I was really in it. And I saw this YouTube short of David Bowie giving life advice. And his life advice was, if you feel safe, then you are not where you need to be with your work. You want to be a little bit farther in the deep end than you can stand, and you're like on your tiptoes with your head trying to stay above water. That's where you know you're in the right place. And I thought, okay, well, if I don't want to do it because I don't want to be disrespectful, that's one thing. But if I don't want to do it because I'm scared, I should do it. And I realized one of the reasons I'm scared is because I think we all are mostly known. It's not like we're famous, but we're known by the people who know us, and like they know what we do. And I'm a restaurant critic, and I walk into a restaurant, and everyone's like kissing up to me because I'm the critic, and I've done all this stuff, and I'm a known quantity. And I'm about to enter into a room where no one knows me. Not only does no one know me, but it's not like I'm a secret Nijinsky and I'm gonna blow their socks off. I'm also like not that good. But I'm okay being a fool. I think I'm okay being a fool. I'm good at being a fool. So the day comes, and I go to this Midtown rehearsal space. It's like the most stereotypical like Broadway experience. It's like in Midtown West. It's on the 4th floor. There's this rickety elevator. It says Slanted Enchanted musical. That's the name of the musical. It's also the name of one of their albums, Slanted and Enchanted. Yeah, that table. You guys are like Steve Malkmus acolytes. I love it. I go upstairs. The elevator doors open, and it is like out of Fame. You know, there are these dancers lining the hallway, young, like 20s, preteens. No, they were like teens, but to me they looked really young. And, wearing leg warmers and spandex, and their legs were everywhere, and they were so serious, and they were all like grasping their their glossy headshots and their resumes. And I don't have a headshot. I mean, I have a headshot. Well, it was up there. But I don't have like a nice color printer, so like I can't print it off. And I have a resume, and it just says like editor, writer. It's like not germane for the task at hand. But I'm gonna do it. So I go in, and there's 12 of us in this wave of auditions, and I'm also wearing like this. I did not wear spandex. I didn't wear spandex, or my fabric had no stretch. And there's a choreographer, this woman, Angela, and she's like, okay, we're gonna run you through like a couple of, some choreography. It's gonna be really fast, and it's really hard, and you don't have to pick it all up, but we just wanna see how you move. And I was like, oh man. Oh man. There were like parts of this choreography where you had to like pretend to be Charlie Chaplin, which you had to improv as Charlie Chaplin, which is outside of my comfort zone. But this is what I thought. I thought Steve Malkmus, lead singer of, that's right, Pavement, lead singer of Pavement. His whole thing was that he didn't care. He was just gonna do what he wanted to do. He's kind of like he was like a slacker in a way, very successful, but a slacker. And I thought, okay, well, I truly understand Pavement, And that is going to be my ace in the hole, is that like I alone among these 20-year-olds who have never heard of Pavement understand that Pavement's entire philosophy is not caring. So I'm going to not care in this audition, and somehow the producer will be like, oh, that guy. Like, he gets it. So we start doing the choreography, and I'm not terrible. I'm not the best. There's this guy with like a ponytail and like flowy pants. He was the best. But I was like, okay, I could do a barrel roll. Do you guys know what that is? A barrel roll? It's like you jump and I did that. We had to do the choreography in one group of 12 to learn it, then smaller groups of 4. And I felt like I had the musical phrasing and the timing right, because I've heard these songs since I was like 19. And then I left the dance portion feeling like, okay, I can do this. Like, it's like, how does actors' equity work? And like, are there other auditions I can go on? And like, am I going to be in the touring version of this or like the Off-Broadway? You know, like I had all of these questions, like what my rider was going to look like. Would I have like my own dressing room? And then we had to sit and then we had to come back in and do the a cappella version of a song called Gold Sounds. And my trick there was that like I had learned the third verse. And I was sure like everyone had learned the first verse, but I was going to do like the deep cut of the third verse. It's also the only one that makes any sense. So I went in and I sang my heart out, but I sing like a guy sings Pavement in the shower, which is like not singing for Broadway. But at the end of it, the assistant casting director was like, "Oh, you have a dance background, don't you?" And I was like, "Yeah," when I was a young man, which is like such a weird thing to say when you're auditioning for a job. And then she said, "Do you tap?" And I was put on the spot, and I was like, "No, I do jujitsu," which is true, but like doesn't not part of it. There's no jujitsu in the musical. But I still, and if Stephen Malkmus, lead singer of, yeah, that's right. I'm going to make you all Pavement fans by the end. If Steve Malkmus was there, I was sure that he would be like, "Oh, yeah, he gets the philosophy of this band." So I left feeling like any day I was going to make my Off-Broadway debut. And I went home. You know, there was a part where I was supposed to look at the sound person and be like, "And this is what the choreography looked like," and I was going to do it, but I might do that at the end. But yeah, actually, I'll do it now. Yeah, let's do it now. So these are the first like 12 counts or something of our audition. Thank you. I did not get the call back. But as it comes to never saying never and its converse, always say yes, I feel so grateful for that experience. And the reason I feel so grateful for it is that it's so easy, I feel like, for me at least, to be defined by what you've done. And say, okay, I'm a writer, I'm a dad, fatherly, I crash Bentleys, I suffer for my craft. But just even the possibility that I could maybe be a Broadway dancer, off-Broadway dancer. Even that possibility of redefinition, of looking at an identity or or a life that's going by and thinking, yes, that could also be my life, has been so inspiring since that. I'm out of breath from doing that. Imagine doing that for like an hour. I would never have lasted. Whew. So I guess I'll just leave you guys with a lyric from Pavement from one of my favorite songs called Old to Begin. And the lyric is, embrace the senile genius. Watch him reinvent the wheel. I don't need your summary acts to give into the narrative age. Old to begin. Thank you.